Hi guys, and hello from the hilltop. I'm Waxahachie Blue, and I want to welcome you to my channel, The Plata Perfectionist. Today's video is my February 2023 plan with me in my Archer and Olive size A5 dot journal. So for my month of February, I am going to be doing a monochromatic design, and it will be in this light gray color. And for the actual little doodles and the theme is going to be snow bunnies. I decided to go with bunnies because, for one, I've never drawn a bunny before, or I've never used it as a bullet journal theme. And not only that, but the month of February is when the Lunar New Year starts, and it is the year of the rabbit this year. So I figured I'd kind of tie those both together. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos for this particular journal, I am going for a very minimalist aesthetic. One of my goals for this year was to get the entirety of my 2023 into a single journal, because I actually am not one of those people who likes to transition journals from one 6-month increment to another. So I am keeping my monthly spreads very, very minimal in the number of pages that I am using, because I have found that I really don't need all that much space in order to have everything that I need for my months. So here's where I've decided to put a little rabbit. I went onto Pinterest and just started looking at pictures of rabbits. They're very, very simple, very minimal in their design, mostly because of the Lunar New Year. I wanted to give them a very, what is that type of art? It's the ink blot type of art that is very Chinese aesthetic, Japanese aesthetic. I'm butchering this explanation, but that was my inspiration for keeping the rabbits looking relatively minimal and not overly detailed. Not only that, but rabbits are affiliated with the moon, hence why I have a moon here, and there will be a moon on another page. And since they are at nighttime, that's why they have their eyes closed. That's why. I didn't want to draw eyes. That's pretty much why. And then since I had this light gray color, I do know that rabbits come in kind of a soft white gray or a white, depending on what kind of rabbit they are. And so it worked really well to have just that very light little splash of color, and I think they came out okay. So for my quote page here, you have, "You are not needy for wanting the love you deserve." I thought that was quite a fitting one for February, which kind of ties into the Valentine's Day theme very subtly without being overly Valentine's-y, as well as it's just a good quote. I liked it. I have my title page here where I wrote February and my rendition of cursive, and I did have just a little tiny dot thing. That's not what that was. A little mini calendar. That's what that is. I apologize. I am doing this voiceover in the morning. I have not had coffee yet, so my words know when to sprechen. I mentioned before, I had these little month stickers from a gazillion years ago. I actually bought them at Hobby Lobby. They were on sale, and it came in a pack with not only multiple sizes of all of the 12 months for the word. It also came with a sheet of dates, 1 through 31. I've used most of the dates because I was using them for a previous project, but I very rarely used the days or the months. That's what I did. So here's my little cheat sheet cutout that I created. It has the breakdown of the sizes of what is half, for both vertical and horizontal, what is half, what is fourth, and what is third. Space-wise, instead of doing an actual dot grid. Not only that, but on the flip side of that is the breakdown of the spacings that I use for my 2-page calendar spread. The way that I do my calendar spreads, so that way they stay in the same spot centered on the page, is from the top dot on the page, it is 4 spaces down. That's where the title, and then that next line will be where the days of the week will be. Each of the boxes is 6 by 5, and so even with that little 3 space Dutch door, I still have enough space to have 4 days of a week on one page and 3 days of the week on the other. If I wanted to use that spare space for additional notes or anything, I could. As for putting the actual weeks, like the number of weeks, it allots me for 5 weeks worth of blocks. So if there happens to be a week, or not a week, it happens to be a month where there is an additional week, say for example, there's an additional 31st is out of place somewhere, I can either move that, I don't like to do the diagonal line. If you've watched my January, you saw where I did with January 1st, which was this random Sunday. I actually just sliced day 8 in half and put it up there. Because I don't do the diagonal. It's just a waste of space. It is. It's just a waste of space. I don't know why people do that. It bugs me. I get more space if I just do a horizontal line. I'm adding just a little bit of a drop shadow to my boxes here, because that gray is like the perfect gray for a drop shadow. I'm just going to add right in my days of the weeks, and then we'll be on to another bunny. I've decided to really keep the extra, my cat's meowing at me. It's too early. She's telling me it's too early. I'm trying to keep even the doodles to a real simple and very uniform in where I'm putting them. For the most part, I will be having at least a doodle on the front title page. I'll have a doodle here on my 2-page calendar spread. Like if you saw my January, I did have some doodles up at the top of my weeklies just to fill up that little space and to give me something to kind of look at. And I'm going to try to continue with that theme as much as I can. So here's my other little bunny. This one is standing up on its little feet, and it's a very fat little bunny. Like I said, I'm not very good at drawing bunnies. I've never drawn rabbits really, so this was new territory for me. But since they're fluffy, I did not mind having a little bit of breaking in the outlining of the bunnies, because they're fluffy. They're not a perfect outline. And just he seems very contemplative in his seating. So maybe he's a Buddhist. I don't know. It's a Buddhist bunny. But I did add just a little moon here. Using washi tapes to make moons was like the most perfect. Although I did realize after I was done filming this, I never went back and used my marker to give the color to the bunny rabbits. I did it on all of my other bunny rabbits, but not this poor bunny rabbit. So he's a bit snowy. He's a very white rabbit. And that's it. That's the entirety of my 2-page calendar spread. Slap a washi, and even the washi is like, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. I'm about to chunk something at my cat. I don't know what she wants. So here's my budget tracker. This is one of the few spreads that I really told myself that I needed every month. And I do it the same way every month. It is a 2-page spread. Whether or not I need that space is my own thing. But there's columns. It's a rolling budget style. I already know how many spaces is going to be each column, because I mathed it out just like I did for my 2-page calendar. And so that's it. I have enough room for columns that I need, and no doodling, nothing. We're good. So here's the start of my weeklies. I'm keeping my weeklies very uniform. I'm one of those kinds of people, I don't need a bunch of extra space for my days of each week, just because I don't. I use my bullet journal for what it is. It's for bullets. And so that's what I do with it. Each of these pages has 7 lines, which gives me 8 boxes. I usually will do doodles or some type of design on that top space, just because it is the skinniest space. I think it's maybe 4 dots instead of the 5 that I use for each of my days. On the left-hand page, I will do my habit tracker, which tracks about 5 habits that I'm trying to keep up with. I have a horrible habit of, if I don't keep up with something, I tend to let it fall by the wayside, which is not good, especially if I'm trying to increase my mobility by doing yoga or remember to brush my freaking teeth. And that's it. So I did include the first 2 days of January, which is the 30th and the 31st. They weren't in my last month, which personally bugs me, but it's going to be what it's going to be. And then I managed to get the entirety of February on just these 4 pages, and it's that simple. As for that extra space on the right-hand side, that is where I track my weight. I am currently trying to get back onto my keto wagon here. I've actually been doing very well so far for the month of January. My little point system that I developed, which you could see in my setup video, I created it. It's kind of like keto meets Weight Watchers. So for every day that I am staying in my carb goals, I get so many points. If I do additional activities, I get so many points. And then as I reach a point goal, I can have a cheat meal or a snack of my choosing that is not necessarily keto, and still have, still not have as much self-guilt, because that is something that I struggle with. So up here, I decided to draw just some doodly little bunnies. These bunnies were partially inspired by the little bunny rabbit designs that you can see in Sailor Moon, especially the little like boomerang shaped jumping bunny. I just put them up here because they were cute. They are very tiny. As you can see, I zoomed in. I mean, that moon in and of itself is quite literally 1 space by 1 space. So the bunnies are like 1 by 2. They are microscopically tiny. To order to draw them, and I did these all freehand, so they're not horribly perfect. I used my lip pen. I do not know what size nib it is, but it's a very tiny nib. And yeah, so I did some bunnies here. I did some bunnies there. A couple of bunnies kissing because it is around Valentine's Day. And that's it. I mean, just this little splash of color here and there, and we're all done. We really are. I told you I kept it simple. Alright guys, I want to thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed these very minimal spreads. If you did, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up. You're more than welcome to subscribe for additional comment. I try to put out a video a month. I do have an Instagram, however, I am currently taking a hiatus from it, so it's not necessarily updated. But you can find me at the Plateau Perfectionist with underscores in between each word. And for the most part, I want to thank you for spending your time with me today. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Bye.